Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today we'll be discussing the top 10 most controversial opinions about the Harry Potter series. These of course are opinions in which fans have long since battled over since the release of the novels, throughout the making of the films, and now more than 10 years later. And since I love a good debate, let's get to it. 10. Barty Crouch Jr. was Hogwarts' best data teacher. For those of you who may need a little reminder, Barty Crouch Jr. was the son of British Ministry of Magic official Barty Crouch Sr. He was also a loyal Death Eater who was accused of torturing Alice and Frank Longbottom to the point of insanity, using the Cruciatus Curse. After escaping the wizarding prison of Azkaban and being held captive by his father for the better part of a decade, Barty Jr. was, well, rather insane. And yet he somehow managed to believably impersonate one of the most skilled aurors of the day, Alistair Mad-Eye Moody, in the role of Hogwarts' Defense Against the Dark Arts professor. And not only did Barty Jr. succeed in his impersonation of Mad-Eye, he was also actually really good at teaching. So much so that some fans argue that Barty Crouch Jr., as Mad-Eye Moody, was actually the best Defense Against the Dark Arts professor that Harry and his classmates ever had. He went above and beyond in the things he taught the class and consistently seemed to go out of his way to mentor and teach Harry skills, such as helping him practice overcoming the Imperius Curse, a skill that Harry later uses in the face of Voldemort's attempt to make him bow. Of course, this opinion is quite controversial considering Barty Jr. was not only insane, but a literal murderer. Those who oppose this opinion offer the idea that perhaps Barty Crouch Jr. was just a rather skilled wizard, which doesn't necessarily translate to his ability as a professor. He also performed the 3 unforgivable curses in his classroom, which was not only illegal, but an endangerment to his entire class. 9. Draco Malfoy didn't deserve his redemption arc. Particularly in the movies, Draco Malfoy is given a story arc that attempts to redeem his inexcusable behavior earlier in the series. While some fans believe this arc is completely justified, Draco was just a boy who'd been raised in a prejudiced family, was under the tutelage of Severus Snape, who was rather spiteful himself, bullying students and all that. The other side of this argument claims that Malfoy is simply an arrogant git, one who would have murdered Albus Dumbledore had Snape not stepped in. The contention in this opinion stems from whether you believe that Malfoy was truly an evil wizard who did nasty and unkind things to others for sport, or a misguided young man who eventually tried to do what was right. 8. Harry Potter was kind of a weenie. Harry Potter, the boy who lived, the chosen one, he was an incredibly brave young boy who embraced the fact that his world got turned upside down at the mere age of 11. But was he also kind of a selfish, boastful jerk? In many fans' opinions, he most certainly was. These fans need only to point to one of several scenes in existence in which Harry is wallowing in his own misery and pushes those closest to him away. Yes, he was under extreme amounts of pressure, but he also never really seems to check in on how his friends are doing with all the chaos that surrounds them each and every year at Hogwarts. 7. Harry and Hermione should have been a couple. For years and years, fans have fought over whether Hermione and Ron belong together, or if Miss Know-It-All Granger should have ended up with Harry. Especially in the films, Hermione and Harry do seem better matched. If you're a book fan, however, you know that the movies do a poor job of representing Ron as a well-rounded character in comparison with the novels. Even so, there are still a large number of fans who ship Harry and Hermione. In any case, it all comes down to one question, really. How does that tent dance scene between Harry and Hermione in Deathly Hallows Part 1 make you feel? Queasy and awkward, or super pumped? Based on your answer, you know which side of this controversial opinion you're on. 6. Sirius Black was a poor godfather to Harry. To many fans of the series, Sirius Black was the type of loving family Harry never had growing up, a stark contrast to the neglectful Dursleys. But was he really all that great at being Harry's godfather? This opinion has fans quite divided, as there are those who are fierce supporters of Sirius and his positive impact on Harry's life. On the opposite side of this coin, however, we have fans who bring up some valid points. For starters, Sirius never made contact with Harry before breaking into Hogwarts as a fugitive from Azkaban. You'd think he'd want to try and warn his former best friend's son about the dangers of Peter Pettigrew parading around as a rat in his very dormitory, or perhaps attempt to let him know he wasn't a mass murderer coming for him. And after they finally connect, he really wasn't around all that much for Harry. Obviously, he had to keep hidden due to his fugitive status, but you'd think he would have been a touch more present, you know, other than the odd conversation through a magical fireplace. 5. Neville Longbottom should have been the chosen one. This well-known opinion is rather more of a theory than some of the others on this list. There are many fans who believe that Neville Longbottom was in fact the real Chosen One that Professor Sybil Trelawney spoke of in her prophecy. And even if he wasn't, maybe he should have been. I mean, Neville really came into his own in the end, so is it not crazy to think that he could have made a more heroic version of the boy who lived? In my opinion, he certainly would have been a less whiny version. 4. Dumbledore should have killed Tom Riddle as a child. The controversy over this particular opinion stems from the fact that Dumbledore would have had to kill a child. However, fans argue that if Dumbledore suspected just how evil Tom Riddle was, and how much terror he would bring to the world as Voldemort, shouldn't he have eliminated him as a child when he had the chance? 3. Albus Dumbledore was more evil than good. It's no secret that Albus Dumbledore spent his youth feeling rather self-important, something he made clear in his declaration to Harry. I was gifted, I was brilliant. I wanted to escape, I wanted to shine, I wanted glory. I was left with the responsibility of a damaged sister and wayward brother. I returned to my village in anger and bitterness. Trapped and wasted, I thought. As a young man with his prideful spirit, Albus also developed a close relationship with Gellert Grindelwald, who went on to become one of the darkest wizards to have ever lived. Alongside Grindelwald, Dumbledore plotted how the two could unite the three Deathly Hallows and subjugate Muggles. This alliance inevitably led to an argument between the two and Albus's brother, Aberforth, which resulted in the death of his ailing sister, Ariana. Then there's the fact that he went on to mentor Harry Potter as a child, knowing the whole time that the boy would need to sacrifice himself and die at the hands of Voldemort, in order to overcome and defeat him. The argument against all that, of course, is all the good that he did after his choices as a young man, and the fact that he was simply trying to protect the entire wizarding world from Voldemort, exchanging the life of Harry in order to save many. 2. Severus Snape was a hero. One of the most divisive opinions of the franchise is whether or not Severus Snape was a good person, a hero, for everything he did to help Dumbledore, the Order of the Phoenix, and Harry himself. Despite his actions that helped take down Voldemort, however, there's always the other side to this argument that he only did so for his own selfish reasons. That his love for Lily Evans was not enough to redeem his qualities as a bully and an incredibly spiteful and rather cruel wizard. 1. The movies were better than the books. There are fans who will only ever read the books, ones who will read the books and watch the movies, and those who will only see the films. No matter which group you ask, however, people will always have a fairly strong opinion on which of these series is better. And like with many film adaptations, the majority of fans seem to say that the books are better. They included more details, more backstories and plot lines. But then there are other fans who are adamant that the movies were actually the better of the two. And with that, we've come to the end of another video. Where do you sit on these controversial topics? Did I miss any controversial opinions about Harry Potter? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to check out the content on Spotify, as well as extra content on my second channel, Harry Potter Theory Extra. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams, and forget to live.